Okay, and here we go. So I'm going to take a quick second to discuss the fact that The Exorcist Believer, maybe I'll do a separate video on it, is being dropped a week early. It's going from October 3rd to October 6th because Taylor Swift, the teeny boppers are speaking, is dropping her concert video in theaters or something like that. So, yeah. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen October 6th instead of October 13th, blah, blah, blah. Maybe I'll get into that, like I said, with a separate video. But the big news today that I'm not really seeing being reported anywhere, or that I'm not seeing anywhere on my Twitter feed or on my timeline, is that Hammer Horror. And Hammer is just the shit when it comes to horror. I grew up with the Universal classics. Dracula and the Wolfman and the Mummy, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein. But that later on, as I got older, was reinforced with Hammer, who was a British company that sort of made these inexpensive, interpretations of those Universal classics. So many good ones out there. We got Curse of the Werewolf, The Brides of Dracula, Frankenstein. They did Phantom of the Opera. And, of course, most famously, as I just mentioned a second ago, Christopher Lee doing what I believe is the best interpretation of Dracula anywhere, where he goes from this very suave and debonair kind of guy, very sexual character. They definitely got that right. The girls with the huge boobs, and Dracula just kind of dominating them all, either in a very overpowering, charismatic way, or just straight up violently with like blood flying out of his mouth. Perfect. However, I'm finding out that Hammer is coming back, and I couldn't be more pleased about it. This is from today at bloodydisgusting.com. Hammer Horror returning to life with new owner and new slate of movies. And there he is, the man himself, Christopher Lee. You can't talk about the history of horror without talking about Hammer Horror, with Hammer Film Productions over the years releasing countless classics, including their own takes on iconic monsters such as Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Mummy, just as I've said. And their movies solidifying the likes of Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee as true icons in the horror genre. Yes, you cannot mention Hammer without mentioning not just Christopher Lee, but the great Peter Cushing. However, Variety reports this morning that British theater producer John Gore, that's quite ironic, has acquired Hammer Films and Studios, and he'll lead a new team aimed to revitalize the legendary brand. This is what we need, the shot in the arm, some British horror. That sounds really fucking great to me. Under Gore's management, the plan is to invest significantly in Hammer Films to breathe new life into the studio. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the old interpretation, well, not the old interpretation, it's not all that old, but one of the movies that I really liked, and I believe this was a Hammer production as well, was The Woman in Black. And for those of you, this is, I believe, a remake, and it had Daniel Radcliffe. I thought it was really good. Really creepy, really great haunted house movie. We don't get nearly enough ghost and haunted house kinds of movies nowadays, but they absolutely got it right. But this, in the credits, is listed under Hammer Productions, Hammer Films. So, I mean, maybe sporadically they were putting things out here and there, but it looks like they're going to be getting back to it full bore. Let's see. Up first is the Eddie Izzard starring Dr. Jekyll, set for release later this year. Wow. Okay. I heard about this, but there's not much time left in the year, and it doesn't seem to be. I hope this gets a big theatrical release. That would be cool. It will probably start out small, but we'll see. New owner John Gore said in a statement, quote, "Ever since I was a young boy, I've been enchanted by the magic of Hammer Films. Its stories, its characters, and its unique place in British heritage and cinema have been a source of inspiration and wonder. Today, as I stand at the helm of this iconic studio, my commitment is twofold: to celebrate and preserve the unmatched legacy of Hammer, and to usher in a new era of storytelling that captivates audiences worldwide. With significant investment and a fresh creative vision, we will ensure that the spirit of Hammer not only endures but thrives in the modern age. Now, Dr. Jekyll, that could be interesting. I've always wanted to see the one. Is it the one with Frederick March? I heard the one with Frederick March is really good. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The one with Spencer Tracy, not so much. And then, of course, there's always Mary Riley, but that had the great John Malkovich as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but it's a trade-off because you also have to endure Julia Roberts. So, yeah, there you go. Bloody Disgusting's Paul Farrell provides a brief company overview in the opening of his monthly column, Hammer Factory. Quote, while Hammer Studios has been in business since 1934, it was between 1955 and 1979 that it towered as one of the premier sources of edgy Gothic horror. And I even love their Phantom of the Opera. We did a compare and contrast with Chaney's Phantom of the Opera and the great one that Hammer did with Herbert Lom and Michael Gow. Michael Gow was just a great fucking villain in that. But Herbert Lom did a really good job as the Phantom. I really like that. On top of ushering the famous monsters of Universal's horror heyday back into the public eye, resurrecting the likes of Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Mummy in vivid color, the studio invited performers like Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, Ingrid Pitt, and so many more to step into the genre limelight. And of course, we can't talk about Hammer without talking about the great Hammer director, Terence Fisher, who just brought so many of these things to life. Spanning a library housing over 300 films, Hammer Studios is a key part of horror history that until recently has been far too difficult to track down. And there's a video, YouTube video there with the top 10 Hammer horror films, but I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to get clipped with a copyright claim, which is what happens every time I play something. What do you think? I'm excited about this. I don't know much about Eddie Izzard and Dr. Jekyll. I guess we'll find out. I like Eddie Izzard. I thought he was great in Hannibal, and he's been great in any number of things, so no problems with that. But the idea that Hammer is coming back with fresh investments and maybe some grounded fucking horror, British horror, European horror. They're making great horror in Europe right now, so I couldn't be more pleased about it. Okay, that's my video. Let me know what you think. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Are you over it? Or you can't wait? What's your thing? Leave a comment. One-word comment is fine. It helps, drive some traffic for the video. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Share the video if you want. Okay? We will see you in the next one.